Hello everyone, this is a Mythical Dragon here, and we are back with our Dragon's Den podcast. So whatever you're working on right now, I hope it's pleasant. Grab a drink of your choice, and let's start talking about something a little personal, shall we? So this past year, or I guess a little longer than a year, I have been really looking into myself a bit more to kind of figure out who I am and kind of really trying to hang on to that identity and embracing it. And it led to a big announcement earlier in June, back at the beginning of June, or near the end of May, beginning of June I should say, where I came out very publicly, not even privately to anyone really, but very publicly as demisexual and pansexual. And it's kind of interesting trying to go through this. So today's podcast is talking about this, like these two identities and what they mean to me. How did I come across this, or what did I look into to figure out if this matched my experiences and how I feel. So we're going to talk about that. Plus, I did attend my very first Pride event ever, and I volunteered there, and it was a wonderful experience. I think I spent something like 6 hours there or something like that, so it was really good. So let's dive into this, shall we? So demisexual, pansexual. So for those that don't know, demisexual means that you don't find, basically you don't have physical attraction or even a sexual attraction to someone unless you build a relationship and get connected closely together. That's my understanding of that, of course. So that's what demisexual is. And pansexual is that you are attracted to all genders. Hence the word pan is Greek or Roman or Latin, one of those three. The words means all, basically. So pansexual is I'm attracted to all, and that means, you know, women, trans women, trans men, men, non-binary, agender, gender fluid, anyone. And so how did I come across these two terms, and what did I do to really see if it fit or if it matched my experiences? Well, let's go demi first, then pan, because demi was the one that I sort of knew for quite a while, but I just didn't really know because of certain things. So we are going to use some terms here that might be a little triggering, so just hang tight or skip forward. But demisexual. So I'm definitely one of those people that would watch those kinds of intimate scenes in shows and movies and not really ever feel hot or bothered by it. I was more of that person, like, oh look, good for them, like they have a bond and they're expressing that bond through physical attraction. Good job for them. Well done. That's totally not, well, I don't want to say it's totally not a normal response, but maybe it is for us in the asexual community. So I just never really got into that, really. There may have been occasionally some sort of turning on, as it were, occasionally, but not with every scene or not every couple or not every experience. And I was just, and a lot of the times too, like nowadays, I'm like, oh great, another sex scene, and I like kind of just open a new window on my computer or open a new tab, basically, and just kind of try to wait for it to pass before continuing on with the show. So there's that, where even just anything that would turn on people never really did for me. There, again, occasionally there was some scenes, I can't really, mainly from books, I would say, that did it for me. But that's, again, not a visual thing. It's how you imagine it to be as you read it, how you interpret the pages. So I think that's also some part of this as well for me. So there's definitely a couple books that I have in mind where I was like, oh, okay, no, is that what this feels like? Is that why I feel a little okay? Interesting. One book in particular is, I don't remember which book it is in the series, it's pretty late for the books because there's like 13 books in the series, and then he's done a spin-off series, and oh my gosh, Terry Goodkind, you're amazing. But this is the Story of Truth series, and there's a book in there where finally finally one of the main couples, they are intimate with each other, and it's such I think it's a refreshing scene for me because they don't just do it right away. They don't hit it off right away. They've been like traveling and being together for so long, and then they were separated, then they kind of come back together, and then they come back together in that book, and it's just such a really beautiful romance, I think, in the book. So the characters are Richard and Kalan, and I think it's just a beautiful connection, and that's when I felt something, because again, it wasn't a relationship that started off very physical. It started off with just like, oh, you have all the... Actually, I don't even think they really liked each other at the beginning. And then they were forced to kind of be together and travel together and solve the same issues that they were both trying to solve. And so that bond was formed and created, and, well, there you go. There's that. So there's that one book example. And so for that, I was like, okay, well, I don't really like it. And that's kind of from like a visual standpoint. Even looking at people in the street, I'm like, yeah, they're good looking, but I don't want to do that with them, you know? So there's that. And then for actual personal experiences now, so let's get away from like media and books and the things you see online, because oddly enough, there's a lot of it online. Oh boy. Again, that's where I get repulsed too. Like, I love a few of my friends on Twitter. Like, go for it. You be that, like, wonderful sex positive, body positive people out there. I can't read it all the time, or I immediately scroll past whatever I see online. Probably another hints of at least asexual in my life right there, right? Let's go personal experiences now. Now, I've only ever been in one relationship. It was long distance, so I think that probably helped with, you know, not being too scared or intimidated by physical attraction. So that definitely helped. But even when we were finally met in person, it was like 2 years into the relationship where we finally were in person. And that's when I wanted to try something. Like, I didn't ever want to try to be physical with this person until, like, basically that 2-year mark almost. It took almost that long for me wanting to try anything physical with him. And didn't quite work, and it wasn't quite satisfying, I guess, in that way. So I actually was like, oh, maybe, and that's when a lot of doubt kicked in, like, maybe this person isn't for me because I'm not enjoying the physical stuff. But really, that can't be it. Maybe it's just like I wasn't as close to the person as I thought I was, or maybe just we weren't connecting in that way. So again, there's that like really big example in the personal life where I'm like, oh, is this normal? That like we're not connecting physically, but we're connecting everything else, but not like physically? Is that normal? And I had all these doubts. Back, that was a long time ago. That was like 6 years ago when I started to have those feelings of like, oh, I'm not normal, I'm not enjoying it. So there's that, again, another stark example. But even dating, or even being on dating apps and things like that too, it's been really frustrating because a lot of people on dating apps are like there for hookups, or they're looking for a third, or that they want to jump into physical right away after spending like 2 weeks talking to you on an app and not meeting in person, and then suddenly you meet in person and they're like, oh, well, I could teach you the ways. And it's like, no, that's not why I'm trying to connect with you. I want a relationship. I don't want someone to be my physical attraction teacher. That's not what I'm looking for. And so that's been very hard. And there's definitely one example where this guy that I was dating, he said like, oh yeah, we'll take it slow, we'll just do it at your pace, it's fine, but still would try to, like, even though in a pandemic, would still try to kiss me or touch me, and it was just so awkward. And I kept saying no, and he did respect that quite regularly. But then there was one time where it was just so pressing what he wanted to do, and I was like, oh, fine. But what I let him do wasn't satisfying again. And because again, I didn't really want it, I was like, oh, he's just pressing and pressing and pressing, so I'll just fucking whatever, let it happen. And then yeah, I didn't like it, and then he got upset because I wasn't reciprocating, and I was like, oh, okay, this is not what I want. Like, we've talked for a couple weeks on the app, went on a couple dates basically. We went, or I guess that was the second date, not even like after 2 dates, it was just the second date when that happened. And I was like, oh, nope, not for me, this isn't what I want or need. And so never heard back from, and plus even how I behaved in his eyes led to no replies or text or messages back. Like, no third date, no nothing. Like, he just stopped texting and stopped responding back to me. And so it was a lot of those moments too, like just even like talking to people on dating apps. I went on a couple first dates, and again, almost went physical right away with like kissing and that kind of stuff. And I was like, this isn't me. Like, I'm not feeling that. Like, I don't want that. I'm just, no, you know? And so that's when I really started to read a lot of the discourse online about asexuality and like the full spectrum of all the different kinds, like gray sexual and all this kind of stuff. And really everything that I read about demisexual and like personal accounts and stories and the few BuzzFeed articles out there on it, I was like, you know what, no, this feels right. Because again, back with my first ever relationship, I felt close enough that I was feeling the attraction and I wanted to try it. It didn't really fit, it wasn't a good fit, but I had spent that 2 years getting to know this person and really feeling that romantic attraction, and it led to then the physical attraction. And so that felt great. And then yeah, with those other dating examples I talked about, I was like, yeah, no duh, I was uncomfortable and I didn't want it, or I didn't want to do anything like that because I barely knew the people. I barely talked to them for like a week or even just a few days before the first date. So that's when all those experiences and the things I read online, I was like, okay, demisexual must be, that's for me, well, that must be me. And yeah, that's that. And then it was really nice like talking to some friends of mine, because I actually realized I do have friends in the demisexual umbrella as well, and just even the differences between us three made me still feel validated, because of course it's awkward. A lot of people out there don't think demisexuality is a thing. They just said like, oh yeah, well that's normal. Of course you want to get to know someone before like being physical, that's just a normal thing. But it's more than that, because I can find that person hella attractive. Like, don't get me wrong, I still feel like people are good looking. I can recognize a good looking person, and I don't need to get to know them to be like, oh, I won't do them. Whereas most people will see a good looking person and be like, yeah, I tap that, you know. And I'm never like that. I was never like that. So there's that. And then plus, like, again, with some of the things I read online too, it's really hard for me to come to this conclusion until I talk to my friends, because there is that kind of, there's just so much stigma around asexuality. It's just awful out there, where people are like, oh, well, you will eventually learn to like sex, or eventually you'll want to hook up with someone, or eventually you're going to want to do these things because, well, every human needs to do it. So asexuality isn't real, or demisexuality isn't real. They're not part of the community. And reading a lot of that was like hard. And then I also read other like people in the asexual community saying that like, well yeah, even if you still like please yourself, or do anything like physical attraction, even with it to yourself or to someone else, you're not asexual or you're not demisexual. And that was hard, because like I do occasionally, like very occasionally, like to please myself. I think it's just natural, and if you think about demisexuality for a moment, this is like a joke I made with someone not too long ago, where it's like, well, I know myself. I like myself most days, and when I want to please myself, that's usually when I feel the most me, and I like myself. So of course I'm going to want to please myself because I know me. I know me best. And this is now learning me in a physical sense. So anyway, that was like a conversation I had with a friend not too long ago, and it was a lot of laughter. But yeah, I read a lot of things online too that was like, well, if you do that, like if you please yourself physically and you do it to others, then like you're not part of this community. And that was like a really hard thing to hear and read and see. And I was like, oh, well, maybe I am just like, maybe I am just straight. Maybe I am just normal. But then I had to like really talk to like my friend Han. I talked to I think I talked to Cece at one point, my friend Cece, and then my sister, of course. And between those three amazing people in my life, I was like, nope. Again, asexuality is a spectrum, and you can be on one side to the other side, and it, however you feel, whatever fits your experiences most is what you are. And there's that big story there of me finding out about demisexuality and realizing, no, that is for sure me, based on my experiences that I've had. So, or in that I still experience, even on fucking dating apps that are, it's so hard being on a dating app or being on any dating app lately, but that's a whole other story. But yeah, there's that story of demisexuality and how I've come to terms with it and realized it, and I'm proud to be it. And yes, it is part of the community, it's part of the whole asexual spectrum, and yeah, it's there. Like, I'm very happy to be part of this community. Now, pansexual. So this one was interesting because, like, I honestly was tossing back and forth between bi and pan. And I think a lot of people kind of have those experiences, like, oh, well, I'm attracted to both men and women, but also, like, trans men and trans women, I'm attracted to them too, so bisexual. But what adds to this for me is the other genders out there. So like agender, non-binary, gender fluid, demi-woman, demi-man, like all these like other terms, like basically anyone. If I form that relationship and I get to know them, it's the personality that I'm attracted to. It's like their outlook on life, it's their perspectives, it's what they do for work, and their passions, their interests, and that's what I get attracted to. So it's not just one gender or one experience that I'm chasing, it's all. And that's how I led to pansexual. And one, like, I know a lot of really great people out there in life, like famous, not famous, out there that identify as these things, and I'm like, no, they're amazing. Of course I would want to get to know them and like have a relationship with them, especially if they are like, if they're agender, non-binary, or all those other terms. Like, most of the time I find them still like physically attractive, and they are great people. Like, I watch them on shows, or I, like, for example, Our Flag Means Death, there's Jim. Hella interested in Jim and attracted to Jim, so there's that example right there. And I mean, even like people who do drag, I'm like, there's that kind of a pull that I want to get to know someone based on their like performances and that kind of thing. And I know some of this could be aesthetic attraction too, but no, most people I can look at say like, dang, they good looking, or dang, she's good looking, or dang, he's good looking, or like, dang, that person is good looking. And I have felt that about a lot of people. And so there's that. So like, those are those two identities for me and how I came across it. I actually do, like, outside of TV shows and media, there are a lot of people too that I know in my life that I'm like, you are actually really good looking, oh gosh. And they identify on that spectrum, and it's like, all the romantic frustration of wanting to be close to people and they're so far away. So those are those two stories. I know Pansexual is a lot shorter, but I felt, I mean, I understand bisexual. I think bisexual can encompass a lot of this stuff, but Pan just feels more me, because again, I'm not looking for specifics when I'm dating. I'm not looking for, like, I'm only gonna find like women and trans women to date. Fuck you all. Fuck the rest of the spectrum. I'm not that person at all. I will look at everyone. I'm gonna look at everybody and see if there's someone out there for me. So there's that. Although I will say I have sort of on dating apps cut men out. Sorry guys, you've heard my experiences being, like, trying to explain to someone I'm demi and, like, them, like, judge me harshly, and it's mostly come from men, so I just need a break from y'all. I'm sorry. I love you dudes. There are plenty of good looking dudes out there, but I don't know, man. I'm gonna try women and non-binaries and the rest for a while and just see what's out there for that. And I've been talking to a few lovely people who identify as women or non-binary on a couple dating apps, and it's been great. I've been ghosted by 3, and I'm still talking to at least the 4th, but you know, that's a whole other maybe podcast topic, is dating and dating apps. But you can tell what my dating life has been like just hearing my experiences. It's a good time being who I am. I mean, I love it. I love being who I am, but sometimes it's just really tricky. And I've actually joined a few asexual, demisexual groups on Facebook, and it's wonderful, but a lot of people have been asking for dating advice on there, and it's just been so heartbreaking to see people say, oh, I've given up. Like, I'm not even going to try anymore. I give up. Like, I've had no pleasant experiences or prospects. And that's so heartbreaking for us in this community. But I know plenty of others who are in very healthy relationships as asexual, aromantic people. And I'm like, there's hope. So I'm going to hang in there and do my best. But yeah, don't look for dating advice online right now for being demi or gray or asexual, because it's a bleak world out there for us, apparently. There's that. So there you go. That's the coming out story, and I wanted to do this to really help reaffirm myself a little bit, and maybe for anyone who listens to this could maybe recognize that, oh, maybe there's something that I need to look into or explore a bit more. And it's totally okay to be questioning. It's totally okay to be straight, gay, lesbian, bi, pan, ace, arrow, whatever you are, man. You are so loved, so appreciated, and so welcome in my community. I will say that to you to wrap that up. You are so welcomed and needed in the world and the community, so just remember that. Oh, that got me a little. Okay. Moving to my baby's first pride. Baby's first pride. Yay! Okay, so this is the first year that we've had pride in a couple of years, sometimes 3 years, for a lot of places. Like, I know it's been since 2019 in my local city since we had our last Pride Fest, or even it was called something different back then, but nonetheless, Pride Fest has finally returned, and it was a party. I love it. And so this year I actually volunteered. Like, I signed up to volunteer at the Pride Fest so that I would kind of force myself to go and not be afraid, because it was all outdoors, so I wasn't too scared of, the pandemic or unmasking and all that stuff, although I was masked the entire time because I was being a safe, anxious being, going to a big outdoor, very, very populated, busy event. So I still was masked for all of it, except for when I took a sip of drink or a bite to eat, then that was the only time I masked him up. nonetheless, I arrived a little early, like almost an hour early, to Pride Fest before my volunteer shift. So I got to walk around, and just walking around made me feel safe and welcome, because everyone was like dressed to the nines in like their flag colors, or with makeup, or just the outfits that they are comfortable wearing and want to wear. And it was just such a beautiful thing to see. And like my favorite, I really wish I could have had more time to go up and talk to this person, because I saw them on my way to my volunteer shift. But it was it was someone who wore all of the demi colors, and like in the exact demi flag formation, and with the beautiful angel wings that were the demi flag as well. And I was like, oh my god, where'd you get the like, I really wanted to go up to this person and be like, where'd you get the wings? But I, like, 10 minutes until my shift, I had to go. But just like, it was so cool to see that. And like, this person had like their makeup done up too with the flag, beautiful like purple sparkly like mascara and eyeshadow, and like, oh, it was, they were so beautiful. There's that. A lot of really good looking people in Pride, I will say that. But yeah, like seeing people like that, like dressed up in demisexual colors, a lot of asexual flags out there too. I saw a lot of the gender fluid, lesbian, rainbow, like I think I saw almost all the flags out there. And I know that probably is impossible because there's more and more identities coming out in the wordworks, but I swear I saw a majority of them. So like my city really represented Pride and everything like that really, really well. So even just walking through, going to the booths and gathering some pins, and I was really happy because I bought one pin that was in the shape of a Pokeball, and it was a demi flag in the Pokeball. So like the little like black triangle, the purple, the white, and the black Pokeball. And I was like, yes, gotta catch them all. Gotta catch all the demis. Gonna do it. Made that joke a lot. And then even some people too at Pride Fest, which made me a little proud too, even though we're up here in Canada, were wearing a lot of pins and shirts and had like signs and posters, or like those little like fans that you can like use to kind of fan yourself. A lot of people saying that, like, what is it? Oh, where's the phrase? It's like my body, my choice. In support of you guys in America who are dealing with the Roe versus Wade being unturned and all the craziness that's going on with policies down there. So solidarity, man. Pride had a lot of solidarity in that regard. But yeah, tons of booths, and like just so open. Like there was a couple booths that were like handing out like condoms for free, dent stamps, lube, and just so much of that. And my little like Danny heart was like, no thank you, I don't need that. I really don't need that, thanks. But also just realizing how many organizations in my city are like for like sex positivity, body positivity, inclusion, and just seeing how many of those booths were there, I was like, dang man, Edmonton, you cool, you are pretty neat. I need to start looking up these like organizations to be more involved with. But also Canada, I appreciate us coming out and doing this sort of thing to really see the representation and feeling so incredibly welcomed, and that leads to a nice transition of me actually volunteering. So I was a drink ticket seller, not that exciting of a volunteer role, very busy and out in the sun, which was ouch for my poor skin, because yeah, baby got sunburnt like quite badly, real badly I should say. And yeah, so I just had to sit there, work like the little like handheld debit credit card contraption thing, and sell drink tickets all day. And I was so nice, it was so amazing, because we got volunteer shirts, we got water bottles, little rainbow Edmonton Pride Fest bracelets, and we got like a lanyard. And so I had to change into the shirt, and so I put on my shirt, and then on my keychain that I had, I had to replace it with the lanyard that said volunteer. And on my shirt I put my 2 flags. So I had like the Or I put my pronoun pin, which is a really cute pronoun pin. It's like a she, her pin with like a little cat laying underneath like the little bubble. It's really cute. I love it. And then I put my demi flag on and my pen flag pins on. So I have my pins on to really say like, yeah, part of the community, first pride, what up? And a lot of people recognize the pins. And so they would come up to me going like, I love your pins. Happy Pride. It's amazing. I see you. And like, I welcome you are welcomed, and like all those kind of really amazing phrases, and just little tiny conversations of validation that was so nice to have, especially after, like you guys have heard, I've been through the woodwork online of trying to find that like resources of supports and getting some of that not really. And so having that quite regularly, as I ran into tons of people as a drinks ticket seller for 4 hours, was amazing. And I actually ran into a few people I knew, didn't remember their names, so I felt kind of awkward about that. But one person I knew because of childhood, he was my mom and my dad's best friend in high school. And so he was there, and he was just like, oh, your pins, yes, someone I know from Wetaskiwin in the Pride community, whoop, and I was like, yay. So it was fun though, like seeing some people I knew, and they're like pointing out my pins, going like, oh, happy Pride, you're one of us, like, yay. It was so nice. And this is going to be like a little Toastmasters thing. Sorry, I know I talked about Toastmasters last week, but shut up. It's a big part of my life, so I'm going to talk about it here again too. Thank God for Toastmasters, because I was able to have like these conversations with people with like no hesitation. So like I even was able to like point out everybody else's like wear, or like their like clothing or their flags and things like that. Like, I love your pin, or I love your hair color, because some people would like dye their hair for Pride and like their flag colors or the full rainbow, and it was just so cool. And there's one person who came up to me in the line in a wheelchair and like, oh, decked out their wheelchair and flags and like pins and rainbows and streamers, and I was like, I love your chair. And they were like, thank you for saying that. A lot of people think my chair is inconvenience in a big crowded area, but fuck them, right? I'm like, yeah, fuck them. You look amazing. Enjoy your Pride. And so it was just great to have those kinds of conversations with everybody. It was amazing. Yeah, and like the only part that kind of was disappointing in the volunteering part is that the people around me that were volunteering with me didn't really talk to me. No one was really talking to each other. We were just kind of sitting there doing our jobs. So that was kind of disappointing, because I wanted to do this to make friends, and clearly none of the other volunteers wanted to chat or be friends, and I was like, okay. But I mean, I still met a lot of amazing people. I am really bad at getting people's names and numbers, because there was one girl that I really wanted her number. Didn't get it. Gonna work on that at the other festivals I go to this summer, because I wish I did have her number. That's all I'll say about that. So, other words, like, most of Pride, really amazing. Like, most of the volunteer shift was amazing. Got sunburnt, but I made sure to stay hydrated at least. So I had no heat stroke. Woohoo, go me. And ate some cookies and some snacks that they kind of handed out every once in a while with us, which was great. But it was the conversations for the volunteer shift, the 4-hour volunteer shift, that was so incredibly amazing, validating, and just, I feel proud of myself too, because that was the first really large in-person events I went to in years, and I was able to have conversations with people and enjoy it and not feel like I fucked up or said anything stupid or awkward. I felt confident and proud and excited to be there, and I think that came across to a lot of the people I talked to, which was really special. Then my shift ended, and I was waiting for my sister to come pick me up. She had to go to a family event. I don't want to talk about family. We're not. Moving on. So I had some time to kill. So I got myself 2 drink tickets and got myself a couple alcoholic beverages and enjoyed some performances. And I got to see a couple of drag performances. They're near the end of that block of time for their performances, but they're still amazing. And the one performance, actually there's 2 that were really phenomenal, but the one performer got me because she was dancing to Born This Way by Lady Gaga, and underneath her cape, so she wore this like really beautiful green like sparkly outfit, fucking gorgeous, but partway through the song in her performance, she like swooshed the cape out, and it was the rainbow flag, like the progressive rainbow flag, and so many people were cheering and shouting and just clapping and singing along. And she really did a whole performance, like the whole second half of her performance was just using that flag in her dance and in her show. And I got to the end where she did this really cool like 3-point landing, covered herself in the flag, and then like swooshed the flag back, and she started to cry, and like the whole crowd was like, oh, and like I felt that was so, it was so powerful that even it got me. I was like, I took like another good swig, and I was like, oh, this is something special, you know? And the host that came out was just like, oh, guys, you made her cry. That is such a huge feat. Edmonton Pride, first time back, 3 years. You guys are making us, you are touching our souls with every clap, cheer, photo, video, everything. Thank you. And it was just a beautiful thing. So that performance got me near the end of my long day outdoors and being surrounded by people. And then right afterwards, all 3 of the performers came out, or all 4. Wow, it's been a little while. It's been almost a month since Pride, so my bad. All 4 performers came out, and they did a performance together, and that was beautiful too, because they all ended up having flags, and it was just a really special thing to see. So yeah, I love drag. There we go, we'll say it. I need to go to more, but a lot of it's indoor events, and I'm not comfortable for indoor events just yet, so we'll gotta work up to indoor stuff again here eventually. So that was beautiful. Those 2 performances was great. And then the other performers I got to see were amazing. And then on my way out, after I got my second drink, on my way out, I paused because I was like, oh, my sister will be here soonish. I should probably start heading to the back of the squares where the Pride Fest is at. And so I started to back away, but then the next block of entertainment for Pride Fest was pole dancing. And all I heard was this, like, the host saying, my, you make me want to go watch Rocky Horror again with those cool, with the little hot underwear. And I was like, I'm sorry, what? And I, like, I think I literally spun around where I was at and, like, looked at the stage. And, yeah, sure enough, this, like, again, guys, I can say when someone's gorgeous because he was gorgeous. And, yeah, bright gold. Yeah, bright gold. Bright gold undies, but like, I hate how pole dancing gets such a bad rap because it can be something really beautiful to watch, and like this person's movements with the song was just so graceful and beautiful and strong, and it was just so wonderful to watch. Like, I was so mesmerized. Like, I didn't expect to feel that way about, like, even I didn't know what to expect or how to feel when it came to Pride, but clearly I got emotional quite a lot during it for like really good reasons. And yeah, watching that was just so beautiful, and I wanted to stay to watch more because clearly it was going to be more than one like pole dancer. But that's when my sister said, like, I'm here, and I'm like, oh crap, I gotta head out. And I started to make my way. But Pride was amazing. just, again, like volunteering there and being able to have all those interactions and getting to know so many people and some of their stories, to enjoying performances and seeing the crowd of people just wearing what they want to wear, being who they need to be, who they are. It was just a remarkable experience to see so many people in my city coming out and either in support and being good allies or just being themselves. It was just a really beautiful experience, and I definitely need to go back to next Pride. I am now someone who might be a little addicted to Pride events, but I think you can hear why. It's validating, it's accepting. I found there was very little judgment, if any, and just some really cool merch too that I wish I had more money at the time to get, because I would have bought a lot more than just a couple of pins and got some free flags. I would have put some hard cash down on a lot of the cool stuff there, but next time, next Pride I will. And wow, that was, I didn't expect to hit over 40 minutes with this episode, but here we are. So final remarks is, hello, I'm Mythical Dragyn. I am demisexual and pansexual, and I'm fucking proud of it. And I attended my very first Pride ever, and it was an amazing experience that made me feel seen, it made me feel validated, and made me feel so welcomed into the community for the first time out and proud. That is me. Thank you for listening. Sure, if you are comfortable with it and can, share some of your stories in the comments below, because I promise you are also seen, heard, accepted, and loved here in the Dragon's Den community. So with that, I will end it here. Thank you again for listening and for supporting me. It means a lot, and I will see you guys in the next episode next week. Take care out there, and bye-bye.